Hi guys and girls. Right, a quick video, very quick video on rebuilding the FZR1000 carburetors. Now the reason why I'm doing this video is there's plenty of videos on YouTube on these carbs, but not many on changing the diaphragms. The reason why I've done this is the carbs sat up for a year during COVID, and when I went to use it, it wouldn't start. Even though the battery was near enough new and fully charged, just wouldn't have it. I knew the problem was carburation because it had a full service before I parked it up. So I figured fuel sitting in the carbs has gone bad, which it had. Had a quick look on some of the forums, and this seems to be quite a common problem when people don't use their bikes for a year or more. And some of the answers to this problem that come up on the forums are like, get 3 guys to bump your bike and it'll be fine, or hey man, it's your CDI ignition, or you know, your sprocket needs changing. Gee gods, some of the answers are just way wacky and way out. But anyway, in my opinion, 99 times out of 100, if you've parked your bike up for a while and it's not been outside in British weather going rotten, it's been indoors like mine, excuse me, chances are the carburetors are full of mulch. Your fuel has turned to rubbish. So when I rebuilt these carbs, I bought a couple of kits. The first kit was all the O-rings that go inside the carbs, and that was from this company. They're not cheap. This kit was £105 from Vaporworks. But unlike a lot of the eBay kits, these rubbers are made from Viton, and they're more resistant against the horrible fuel we get nowadays. If you're using the E10 fuel, it rots away the rubbers in your carbs. If you buy these on eBay, they'll do the job, cheap and cheerful, 20 quid for a set. The only reason I buy these, when I change all the internals, I change the needle valves as well. So I changed all of those. I also change all the jets, springs, washers. The main jets on here have been changed, and the needles have been changed because I've gone for a Dynajet kit. Even though my bike is totally standard, it might improve a little bit. But anyway, back to the problem I had with the carbs. I thought the problem was the carbs had furred up. So here's what I found. I just whip this off. This is the adjuster for the tick over. Just get it out of the way. Float bowls. Also, when I rebuild any carburetors or anything like that, I change all the bolts. I used to change all to stainless steel, but now I'm changing everything to titanium. I just love the look and the lightweight. All new seals, all new jets, and let's pull this out. All new O-rings. Now what I found, this is the fuel inlet pipe here from your pump. This here, these pipes, this is your delivery rail, fuel delivery rail. So that dumps fuel in all your float bowls. So once the fuel has come through here, it comes down past this needle valve and into your float bowl. As your float bowl fills up with fuel, it shuts off or slows down the fuel flow. Now the problem I had was this had sat for so long with fuel in the carbs. The needle valve had been in the up position, so when I tried to start it and the fuel drained out and it coughed and spluttered, as that dropped down, the needle valve didn't drop down. So therefore there was no fuel coming into the carb. In fact, I think I can show you using my breath. Now I don't know if you can hear that, but my breath represents fuel flow. When the needle rises, it shuts off the fuel. So as you heard from me breathing into the pipe. The problem I had was this was all gummed up and it didn't move. So I bought all the bits. I've got an ultrasonic cleaning tank, so I'm lucky enough to be able to strip the carbs out, chuck everything in. I've got air in this workshop, so I'm very lucky. If you do want your carbs stripping, and cleaning, if you get them to me, I'll do it very cheap, a lot cheaper than the main dealer. If you supply the parts, I can fit them because, you know, that's what I do. I like doing things like that. So you can find me on my website, and you can see the build history of my bikes and cars and carts and all my toys that keep me skint. If you do want to strip these down yourself, I would recommend taking photos of every stage. I have photos of me doing it on my website, every stage. Haynes manual will help, but basically it's just this rod here holds them all together. So take your nut off, pull your rod out. The same with the choke. This bar here is your choke bar. These attach to the choke plungers. So if you undo this, pull the rod out, don't mix up your spacers, then once you've done that, these carbs will all separate. Then it's all linkages out, butterflies out, you know, and it's quite, I would say it's an easy job. If you can take the carburetors off, you can strip them down. Just make sure you have a clean workspace and you've a lot of springs and things there, so you don't want to be dropping them on the floor. But anyway, back to these carbs. When I rebuilt it, apart from all the new Vuitton seals and the Dynajet kit, I cleaned out, and that was it. So you have to pull this pin out, drop the needle valve out, clean it all up. You should be able to clean it up with normal carb cleaner. You know, spray that in, wipe it all clean, or alternatively just buy a new kit with all the new parts. New O-rings, new seals. Let's put this back together, because this really was not originally meant to be about doing this. It was about changing the diaphragms. New seals. I've not got anything against the cheap eBay seals. I mean, you pay for what you get, and for 20 quid they're very good value for money. Or 20 quid or less. They'll last a few years. Let's just put this back together. You might notice the threads have got a very fine film of copper slip on to stop them seizing up. Let's get this right bolt in, because there's two longer ones and one short one for the bottom. So I might even get these on maybe next weekend and do a video of balancing the carbs. Although I think there's plenty of those sort of videos on YouTube. Which is good. If you want to do it yourself and save some money, there's plenty of guys putting helpful videos on YouTube. I've just got the basic YouTube, so I can't put banners and signs and all that. It's if I want to put a banner on, I've got to hold it up in front of the camera. But anyway, let's have a look at the diaphragms. Let's take these top two screws out. These were originally Phillips screws, but they were getting old and manky, and I just felt they needed changing. You don't have to do that. When I took these apart originally, I checked the rubbers for splits, and the rubbers were perfectly good. But what it did occur to me is, let's just be careful, because there's some little washers in these. Now what it did occur to me, there's a new O-ring there that comes in the kit. Let's take this out. First of all, let's get this spring out. Now this is a new needle. This is a part of the Dynajet kit. There should be a little washer, don't lose that. That sits on top of the circlip. Now this is the original rubber. This is fine. It's got no damage, no splits, so that's all well and good. That will work proper, but it's over 30 years old. Yeah, how much has this rubber deteriorated? I don't know. So let's whip it off, take off that little clamp. Very, very strong, these rubbers, you don't have to worry about damaging it. So if I take that rubber off and put it there, pick up a new rubber, eBay job. Now straight away I can feel the difference. This feels, excuse me, so much more flexible than this. Okay, that doesn't mean it's going to be any better, but I would guess it is. Let's just put that on, put the locking piece back on. Simples. Now, these little washer on top of that circlet have a habit of falling off when you're putting them in. So a little tip, just a smidgen of grease on top, just stick it in place. Doesn't matter if that grease gets sucked into the engine, that'll be such a small amount, eventually that will burn off within seconds, but that will stop that pinging away when I drop that down and replace the spring. When you fit this is the Dynajet kit, when you fit this you also have to drill out one of these holes. It's in the instructions, so that's all been done. Let me just put this back. Just line the hole up. Do it over the bench and not over the floor, because if you drop it, there we go. That is in. Check the circlip is still in place, and then put the spring on top. This slides over the top of the end of the needle to hold that spring in place. So, circlip. Make sure that's in. Now that looks good. Let's just get rid of the grease. Excuse me. There. Okay, let's put this back. Now, just make sure the needle drops down the emulsion tube. Doesn't catch, yep, that's fine. There we go. The rubber all slots into the groove. That is good. You find the original rubbers may have shrunk a little. If you're putting the original rubbers back in, they quite often don't want to go back into this groove. Let's get that round the right way. Little vacuum tube lines up with the gasket's falling out. Make sure you've got your new gasket to go back in. And there we go. The spring's all going to fold up. Let's make sure it doesn't. All the O-rings all in place, all the gaskets, and everything lines up. Okay, that looks good. Just quick, get the thread started. There we go. There we go. Let's just do this up. So now we have new diaphragms. Like I said, there was nothing wrong with the old diaphragm. The old diaphragm was 30, what's my bike, 1991. So it's 32 years old now. So you can't go wrong with replacing a 32-year-old rubber. Who's going to use a 32-year-old rubber? Anyway, that's that. Just out of interest, okay, let's just see how that feels. Ooh. So, okay, standard one. Now, that's with the original diaphragm in. Same there. I would say that is returning quicker. It's marked quicker. Mrs. Camera Lady, what do you think? Do you think that's returning quicker, or is that my imagination? Yeah. Mute Camera Lady. Makes a change, doesn't it? Okay, peoples. So it seems that a new rubber does actually make a physical difference. Now, I could be totally wrong on this, but I would say if that's returning quicker, then it will lift quicker. The rubber's in better condition. So therefore, you should have quicker throttle response, but also you'll have better fuel consumption. Because if your slide is dropping slowly, you're going to have more fuel drawn off. More fuel drawn off and taken into the engine, and burn means your mixture isn't as good, and you're going to be using more fuel. So it looks like, I'll do all these after the camera's turned off and I've had a cup of coffee, but it looks like changing your diaphragm for a new diaphragm so far seems to be a worthwhile modification. And good luck doing it yourself. If you do struggle to do it, you can find me on my website or on YouTube, where I'm going to put this video. If you need any help or advice, or you want someone to do your ultrasonic cleaning or anything like that, feel free to ask. I don't mind helping you guys out, and girls. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I've never said this before, don't forget to like and subscribe. Not that I get a penny from YouTube, but cheers guys.